Let's talk about these rising gas prices. It's been a struggle out there recently. It feels like every couple of days or even every day, the price of gas goes up, and it's just been horrible. It's been tough out there for those of us that feel like it was already hard enough before we felt the inflation, and then we felt this recent price surge as well. Hopefully by the end of this video, you will have a few tips on how you might want to proceed with your delivery business. The first thing I'll say on how we might proceed in the future is delivering less. Now, I will talk about part-time drivers and full-time drivers. Part-time drivers, I'd say if you do have a 40-hour-a-week kind of job where you're an employee, I would say like maybe this is something you should seriously consider. You know, if you thought you were making like really good money with like food delivery or grocery delivery, and now you're seeing the rise in gas prices, you may not want to deliver as much, because I know that your earnings will be cut a little bit just by how much you're having to spend on gas. And if you are an employee of another business, maybe you can just focus on that right now until things hopefully eventually cool off pretty soon. But if you are a full-time driver, this is how you make all of your income. Like, I don't know how this can really apply to you too much, just because you do have to drive, and so you can't really drive less. Like, you still need your full income that you have been accustomed to getting. And especially, if food delivery has been your thing for a long time and that's what like, you just can't really stop that. For me, I say that I rely heavily on my delivery income. I used to have a full-time job, and I was pretty happy doing that, but I wanted to try something else out, maybe start my own business, and so focus on these YouTube videos. And so I had to seriously decide that I was going to quit that job and pursue like food delivery. And what that means is like I kind of consider myself a part-time driver because I do have other income such as YouTube, but it's not that much right now. And so like I would say like 70% or 80% of my income does come from food delivery. And so I definitely need that to keep coming in. And delivering less, like, that's going to be really tough for me to do, but it is something that I might be open to doing. One of the things I've decided to do today was to not deliver. I had about a 4-hour window where I could have gone out there and done food delivery or grocery delivery, but I decided not to, just because like the rising gas prices, and I'm worried about driving my car so much. I do live about 12 miles from my preferred area where I like to drive in, just because I feel like I can get much better tips over there, and there's a higher quantity of orders. And so that's why I like driving 12 miles from where I currently live. And then, of course, I got to drive 12 miles back. And so gas is something I'm thinking about all the time. As far as delivering less, this is just something that has been rolling around in my head. And hopefully that sparked something in you to maybe decide if you want to deliver less or deliver the same. But now I will be talking about changing up your strategy. If you are really focused on food delivery such as DoorDash, UberEats, and Grubhub, you may be thinking that you want to drive less miles by potentially doing things like Instacart, Shipt, or even like Point Pickup. I have delivered with all 6 of these apps, and so I am pretty familiar, at least with the food delivery apps. With the grocery delivery, I'm not as familiar, but I have delivered with all of them pretty recently, and so I have at least a basic understanding of how they all work. Now, of course, food delivery, you are going to be driving a lot further distances just over the course of a day or a week, because you're having to drive to all these different restaurants and then all these different customers. But with grocery delivery, you may be shopping at a store for like an hour or an hour and a half. And so that can help you out so much because you won't have to spend very much gas. Like, let's say that you get an order, a pretty sizable order, and you only have to deliver like 3 miles. Well, for that basically 2 hours. Like, you only have to drive like 3 miles. And it's so great because if you were doing food delivery in those 2 hours, like maybe you are gonna drive like 30 to 50 miles. And so this can drastically help cut down on your gas costs. However, something to keep in mind is if you are deciding to go away from food delivery and go more towards grocery delivery, you have to understand that plenty of other drivers might have already had this same thought as well. And so, in a pretty dry market that is grocery delivery, at least that's what I'm hearing from a lot of people, like Instacart, Shipped, and maybe even point pickup users, especially Instacart. Like, people have been saying that, there haven't been very many batches. So if a lot of food delivery drivers are moving over to grocery delivery, you have to think that the amount of batches that are available are going to go down even further. I haven't completely tested this out in my market, but I kind of saw this coming a little bit, and that's why I decided to work my first day with Instacart pretty recently. And like, that is just something that I did just because, like, I knew that food delivery might not always be the best way to make my money, and so I wanted to diversify just a little bit in case that I needed to make a quick shift over to Instacart. I'm like, well, I should probably get familiar with this platform. So even if I was making a little bit less money than I would be from DoorDash, UberEats, and Grubhub, I thought, I might as well just give it a shot. This is definitely something that you could do. Just, try it out, see how it goes. It may be frustrating at first, like Instacart and Shipt have been frustrating for me, but, if you can push through, maybe you can save a lot of money on gas. Something that we should probably be thinking about, even if it won't make a huge impact in our food delivery business, is the customers. It's possible that the customers will now decide to order more food so that they don't have to spend money on gas to pick it up themselves. It is possible that they decide, I'm just gonna stay at home and order food to be delivered to me because it won't cost that much more to get it delivered than it would be to spend the gas to go get it. I know that I probably wouldn't think like that. I would just go pick it up myself, but maybe other customers that are busy, they don't have the time to go pick it up themselves. And now with the rising price of gas, they're like, I'll just order in. That is something that people could view as being the right decision for them. Another thing that could happen is that the customers might tip more. They might realize that we are using our own cars, putting the own gas in our vehicles to deliver to them. And so they might, feel bad for us for having to drive around all day, spending these really high prices on gas. And so they might decide that they can chip in just a little bit more to help us out. I'm not saying all customers or even most customers will feel that way, but there's potentially more customers out there that might be willing to do us a solid and just pay us a little bit more. Another thing that I'll say that is very important, especially right now, is to have other income streams. As you already know, because I've said it, I operate this food delivery business, and that makes up a large majority of my income, but I also make a little bit of money on YouTube, and so that helps me out just a little bit. But I'm also looking for other ways that I can make more money. I would say if you are struggling right now to be a delivery driver and you're not making a lot of money and you're having to spend a lot of money on gas, I would say there's nothing wrong with getting a W-2 job, being an employee for somebody, especially if you got offered a pretty good job to do a full-time position. I would say there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You should actually go do that if you are going to make a lot more money. We love the freedom and flexibility we have as independent contractors. But I mean, when you're faced with, a crisis kind of like this, if you are struggling to make money, then hey, go over to that W-2 job. That will be great for you. Something that I am definitely looking at are other side hustles I could do that don't involve as much driving. I have been thinking a lot about how I can just make money, maybe like sitting at home. In the next week, I will be dog sitting for some people. I will be getting paid to like watch their house while they're on vacation and watch their dog. This is going to be really nice to have a larger house to stay in for a week. And, I going to be paid a little bit to watch their dog and house as well. I'd say, hey, this is a great opportunity. There are other apps if you don't know people that, you could house sit or dog sit for them. Like there's other apps like Rover. I know that one to be a pretty good way to make money. I know that I haven't tried it out personally, but other people have given it good reviews and they say they can make a decent amount of money on there. Something else that I'm looking at are temporary event jobs. Someone that I know is working for a company where they put on events at different locations around my city. And so they actually reached out to me. I didn't have to reach out to them. And they asked me if I was willing to maybe work a couple days and get paid like $150 a day for anywhere from like 6 hours to 10 hours. And so if you just say like, oh, okay, it's going to be 8 hours to make $150, well, that's $18, $19. That's not great. I definitely make more doing food delivery, but you have to think about like you're at the same location all day and you don't have to spend gas. You just have to drive there and drive home. And so like this may not be available for all of you, but it is something that I'm looking at, thinking, hey, like if this food delivery business, if gas prices gets like way too high, like this is something that I could look forward to doing. And even if I do it like once or twice, then they'll know that I am a hard worker and they will contact me if they have other opportunities. These are just all the things that I'm really like looking at to do in the short-term future if gas prices continue to rise and, we are just struggling and paying all of our money towards fueling up our cars. So I hope this put a few thoughts in your mind about where you might be headed pretty soon when it comes to deciding if you're going to deliver less, change up your strategy, or if you're looking for other opportunities. Just something to keep in mind. And hopefully we can see lower gas prices pretty soon. I just don't know if that's really going to happen. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. And if you've been enjoying the rest of my videos, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.